Welcome to Nerd Alert for Friday, June 24th, brought to you by The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. I'm Jeff Rubin here with BestWeekEver.tv's Dan Hopper and College Humor's Pat Castles. Fun episode today. When we were kids, we loved Oregon Trail because the alternative was class, but today we are going to be interviewing a teacher who leads his class using the widely beloved indie game Minecraft. Are public schools using our tax dollars to train kids to be better than us at video games? Green Lantern is finally upon us. In addition to Hal Jordan, the film brings to life the stories of Hector Hammond, Tomar Ray, and other characters obscure even by nerd standards. The film is not being well received. What does Marvel know about making movies that DC Comics can't figure out? But first, we gotta talk about Weird Al Yankovic. This week, Al released his first album in 5 years, Alpocalypse. The new album features parodies of Born This Way, You Belong to Me, and other songs I will now primarily know through the Weird Al parody version. What songs do you primarily know through the Weird Al parody version? Dan?
I still can't listen to I Got My Mind Set on You without thinking of this song is just 6 words long.
Is the joke of that song, that's what I think it is?
Yeah, it's just that it's really, really repetitive. And ironically, the song, the Weird Al song about it being repetitive is less repetitive than the George Harrison version.
We were once at karaoke, and our friend who we work with, Amir, entered Gangster's Paradise into the karaoke machine, but got on stage and performed Amish Paradise. And when he got off, the guy running the karaoke was like, "You know we have Amish Paradise. You could have had the lyrics." And Amir was like, "I know."
Yeah.
What was your favorite song on the new album?
I kind of liked Skipper Dan, the song about the fine arts major who kind of grows up to be a lifelong tour guide at Universal or whatever.
Very dark, and not in a goofy Santa
darker.
went crazy kind of way. It's
So
like
much...
his life is ruined way.
Yeah.
That's also one of the style parodies where it's not a specific Weezer song, but it sounds like a song Weezer would write.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of Weird Al parody, because in addition to getting the jokes in the song, you get like musical jokes where he's like hitting all these Weezer tropes.
Well, plus it doesn't lock him into really specific lyrics too. You know, he can just write a song.
You're a little more free-flowing with it.
Yeah.
So this Weird Al album, a little more controversial than most. There was a big story a few months ago where Weird Al said that Lady Gaga had denied him the rights to use her song as a parody, and wrote a very angry letter on the internet about it. But what was incredible about it was he posted that letter, and within the day, Lady Gaga, who is probably the most popular musician in the world right now, certainly in that elite A+ list of people who can tour and sell out stadiums, within the day had to apologize and talk about how much he loves Weird Al's work. And in less than 12 hours, the situation had been totally resolved. You know what I'm getting at. Is Weird Al the most powerful man in show business?
Well, who was the last person to cross Weird Al? Coolio. When was the last time you heard Coolio's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, if Iron Man was the dawn of an era where even second-tier characters could become superstars, Green Lantern is almost certainly the end. Some are blaming the movie's reception on the fact that Green Lantern is a B-level character, while others are blaming the fact that the movie is a complete train wreck. Where did they go wrong? Pat.
It's wrong in so many ways that
It's hard to just assign one reason, really. It's a mess on every level.
I mean, the mythology behind the character is so complicated. I feel like it was one of those, either they had to simplify it and piss off the fans, or do some big mess of a movie, and it seems like they managed to do both.
You can't blame it on the source material, because Thor is also something of a, yeah, I think I've heard of that guy, and that movie was pretty fun.
I was reading a review this morning, and just the screen cap they used was like Ryan Reynolds holding that green Gatling gun, and like his CG, like his head looks like, it's just on basic levels, like his head looks disembodied.
Like
and
they did his
floating.
costume with CG, so it's constantly pulsing and very distracting. And his mask, if it's not CG, they did something weird about it. If the main character's face looks stupid anytime it's on camera, your movie has a problem. Just to give you an idea of my frame of reference, one, I love Green Lantern. I have a Green Lantern pint glass, and I insisted on getting Hal Jordan on it, and like I feel like it's less cool than it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Even less cool, I should say, than it was 2 weeks ago.
It was pretty cool 2 weeks ago.
But, so I like Green Lantern, and I have a total weakness for comic book movies. I like Daredevil. I think Hellboy 2 is one of the greatest movies ever made, and I can't even fathom a world where I'd sit through this again. I cannot recommend this movie to anyone.
Where do you put Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Green Lantern?
Ghost Rider is terrible. Ghost Rider is an awful movie.
Sequel coming out.
I'd say Ghost Rider is a clear cut above Green Lantern. But what does this mean? Like, Marvel has really got this machine going where they're turning out good movies, and DC can't seem to get that going, with the obvious, very notable exception of the Batman franchise.
I don't think this derails DC at all. I think it'll just be like a so-so movie. It grossed all right at the box office, and they'll just be like, yeah, whoops, whatever, next movie kind of thing. I don't think it's going to cripple, Warner Brothers or something. They still have another Batman, a new revamped Superman coming out.
There hasn't been any shots of it anything yet, but Zack Snyder Superman, I'm a little skeptical about that one.
I'm so curious about it. I really want to know what he's going to do, how stylized is going, because it's such a famous property, with Watchmen he was able, because it's an alternative comic, he was able to like Zack Snyder it up, and it works, it's his spin on it. But Superman, I don't know if they're gonna let him do whatever he wants with that.
All right, we need a moment to calm down, air the dorkiness out of the room. Let's take a break with a Weird Al themed Own Up.
So for 2 years straight, from ages 11 to 13, I could only fall asleep if I listened to Weird Al's Alapalooza album. I would get into bed, play it, and listen to it, and my mom would come in every single night at 2 a.m. And turn it off so everyone else can fall asleep.
Finally today, believe it or not, adults actually still teach computers to kids. We are about to interview a man who uses the game Minecraft to teach his class of 7- and 8-year-olds. Please welcome via robo-guest, Joel Levin. Thanks for joining us today, Joel.
Sure, I'm happy to be here.
Minecraft has sold 2.5 million copies, but it's not quite a household name yet. For those that aren't familiar, can you explain the game a little?
Sure. It's often called an open world game or a sandbox game, which really just means the player has a lot of freedom to do whatever they want in it. When you play the game, you're dropped into this never-ending world. It's random every time you play. There's trees and rolling hills and mountains and deserts and tundra, and you can start digging up stone or cutting down trees, and you're digging up resources which allow you to start building buildings and houses and skyscrapers, and then you can recombine all of these different resources to make more elaborate tools and more complex resources, which lets you do even more amazing stuff. And then it's really up to your imagination. It's kind of like playing with Lego.
What makes the game an effective tool for teaching kids?
Well, I think first and foremost is that it's fun. Kids like playing it. So if they're interested in playing it in the classroom, then they're going to be paying more attention to what me as a teacher is trying to teach them.
But by that logic, Call of Duty is a great game to teach kids, so surely there's something else to it.
So it has some other things going for it, too. First of all, it's very open-ended, very modifiable, and that lets me support the lessons that I want to teach.
What lessons are you teaching?
I'm supposed to be there to teaching them basic computer skills. I'm supposed to be teaching them about using the keyboard and the mouse and looking up information online. But I find that just by playing Minecraft, the kids are getting all that stuff for free. That's how I like to think of it. So that kind of leaves me some extra elbow room to teach them other lessons about collaborating with other people online, sharing resources, working out differences, solving problems, all good skills to have while navigating the internet, and also just skills to have in life in general.
How does a class in Minecraft go? What do the kids actually do once they're in the game?
Well, it actually starts before they're in the game. I really try to get them to come into the classroom, sit down on the rug, and we talk about what we're going to do today. Sometimes it's a little more free-form. Sometimes I'll have some specific goals that I want them to accomplish. And, then that lasts about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I let them on the game. And, some kids are really good at following directions and really want to please me as the teacher and show up what they can do. And, of course, other kids run off for the hills and try to break free and break other people's stuff. But, that's all part of the experience. So a lot of my time is spent walking around the room trying to keep kids on task, focused, and deal with behavioral problems when they show up.
What is an example of the kind of challenge you might give the kids in Minecraft that they have to get past?
It's usually building challenges because it's a building game. So often I'll have them build their own houses, or, for example, a museum is something I've built a couple times. They've built their own schools, but beyond building challenges, sometimes I will construct worlds with puzzles. They need to figure out how to open a door or how to climb a mountain, or they'll need to figure out a new technique, a new type of tool to build in order to get past an obstacle. And it's really, it's partly about playing the game, but it's more about them being able to think creatively and work together and collaborate.
I want to talk more about those kids who run around and break everyone's stuff. Is there anyone who's misbehaving in Minecraft but they're doing it within the rules of the game, and they're being creative in the ways they're misbehaving.
Yeah, I mean, the lines often get blurred. I mean, there's kids who will willfully break the windows of another kid's house and then right away say, "Oh, but look at all this glass that I made. I can fix their window." And they're trying to do it. They're calling attention to themselves, and they're trying to show off that they know how to do. They know how to make glass in the game. And so, I have to go on a case-by-case basis and figure out, were they really trying to be disruptive and hurtful, or is this just kids being kids playing a game?
What is the most impressive thing one of your students has built?
Oh, gee, there's been a lot. I've seen some cool castles and towers and stuff, but one thing I remember was only a couple weeks ago, was towards the end of the school year, a kid built a roller coaster track, and he, made out of little mine carts and minecart tracks, and it went up and down and all over the map, and it was just really cool, and he used a lot of different techniques. And what was really neat about it is he pretty much did it himself. One friend helped him a little bit with making the tracks. But as soon as it was done, all the other kids, all the other boys and girls on the server, were really excited, and they were running over and they were asking him how he did it, and they were literally lining up in the game to take their turn on this thing. And just what was really cool about it was this particular kid. He's a very sweet kid. Kind of a computer techie nerdy type. I mean, I certainly recognized my own childhood in this kid.
Sounds familiar.
But my guess is that he doesn't get a chance to show off very often in gym class or art class, and I'm not sure how involved he gets just in regular classroom discussions. But here in the game was a real opportunity for him to be the star and to take some pride in something that he accomplished and be recognized by his peers for that. And I think it was a really meaningful experience for him. It was cool for me as a teacher to watch that happen, and everybody won.
I think what's so cool about this is not only have you taken this great game and you're teaching these kids these great lessons with it, but just to take it up another level, you're showing that video games aren't a complete waste of time and that there's all sorts of uses for them.
Absolutely.
I love what you're doing. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you to Pat and Dan. Nerd Alert will be back next week with an episode in the middle of Thursday night as part of College Humor's All-Nighter. In the meantime, here is CGY, our bad special effects of the week. Later, losers.
Face it, Liu Kang. You will fail!
I can feel lead!
Oh, nah, I done seen everything.